Good afternoon. This is the mailbox. It's September 18, 2024. Our topic this evening is life after incarceration. You're listening to the station Love 101, the family station, serving you for the past 31 years. And I am Courtney Morrison. It's good to have you with us. Thank you for joining us. We want to remind you, though, that today the mailbox is brought to you by Solid PVC Pipes, manufactured in Jamaica by Fosterich Company Limited. I want to talk a little bit about what we're talking about today. So, life after incarceration can be incredibly challenging. But with the right support and resources, many individuals successfully reintegrate into society. Here are some key aspects that we wanted to consider. One, mental health. Former inmates often face significant psychological challenges, including stigma, discrimination, and isolation. Mental health support is crucial to address issues like PTSD, anxiety, and depression. Two, employment. Finding a job can be difficult due to gaps in employment history and the stigma of a criminal record. Makes it difficult. Yes. Three, housing. Securing stable housing is another major hurdle. Some former inmates may face restrictions on where they can live, and affordable housing can be scarce. Support systems. Having a strong support network of family, friends, or community organizations can make a significant difference. And number five, legal rights. Depending on the nature of their conviction, former inmates may lose certain rights, such as voting or obtaining a driver's license. So, if you are someone you know is navigating life after incarceration, seeking out local resources and support groups can be a great first step. So, this is the program designed for men with guests who are men, hosted by men, and is aired every Wednesday, unless it's a holiday, at 5:30 p.m. right here on Love 101, the family station. It's the mailbox. If I didn't say it before, let me say it now. I am Courtney Morrison, and with me is my co-host.
Yes, Courtney, Kevin Bailey here, man a man from Moran Point in the Grill. To all our listeners, thanks for making Love 101 your station of choice. We know you have other alternatives, but here you are with us. We're talking about the topic life after incarceration, life after imprisonment. The after effects of incarceration may vary and affect persons' physical and mental health, causing psychological stress, increased likelihood of relapse into criminal behavior, negative attitudes towards authority as a result of unfair handling of grievances and problems with families. Is the society prepared to reintegrate men who were incarcerated? Big question, Courtney. And we have a very big guest that can answer all of these questions.
Literally, a very big guest. Our guest this evening is Reverend Jason Downer. He's an associate forensic psychologist and he's the president of MAGAVA, that's Men Against Violence and Abuse. And lead for the Unangered program. So he's here with us this afternoon. Reverend Jason Downer, let me tell you a bit more about him. He is an associate forensic psychologist, said this before. He wears many hats, such as parenting consultant. He's a male development specialist and social advocate. He's also the chairman for Tower Street Adult Correctional Facility, the rector of youth and young adults at Christian Life Fellowship, and therapist on call at Matilda's Corner Police Domestic Violence Intervention Center. He has several awards for his work in fatherhood and mentorship. He has been married to wife, beautiful Setoya, for 18 years, and they have three children together. So,
Wow, very interesting CV. And I'm so very proud of Reverend Jason Dono. And for our listeners, you know that my good friend here, Courtney Morrison, is chairman of Magava. Is that so still right,
yes,
Courtney?
it is still so, very much so.
Yeah. Yeah, and you guys have been doing a tremendous work in dealing with men against violence, abuse, all of that, making it known, and doing a lot of work in the prison system. Many persons don't know the depth and length and breadth of the work that Mogava, you guys are doing. So I really want to put it out there. We're very privileged and honored. In a little while, we're going to be joining Reverend Jason Downer as well. We want to remind Man, remember, we want to hear from you. We're live on Facebook and YouTube at Love 101 FM Jamaica. Remember, you can leave your comments via our WhatsApp line at 876-997-3125. That is 876-997-3125. Also, we're on TikTok at Love 101 FM Jamaica.
Yes, we are. And ladies, remember, we love you a lot. Without you, God saw that it was not good for us men to be alone, so He gave us for men. And so we appreciate you, we love you. Yet we're saying no phone calls, no voice notes, but you can text us. Our WhatsApp number is 876-997-3125. And we're live on Facebook and YouTube. You may leave your messages there. But we have a question that we'd love for you to participate in and answer. Is the society prepared to reintegrate men who were incarcerated? Big question that. Is the society prepared to reintegrate men who were incarcerated? Do we say they have done their time, they have served their time, and so they are fine? What do we say? You
Mm,
can participate by leaving us a message via WhatsApp, Facebook, YouTube. Remember though, ladies, no calls or voice notes alone. Kevin, what a difficult task it is. I think
mm,
there's a name for it, recidivism. I'm trying to
right?
pronounce. Sometimes I pronounce that word and I feel like I'm biting my tongue. But
Yes,
I know also,
relapsing into behaviors
yes,
because the support system is not there. And many times, as you read, there are mental health challenges, post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, and all of this. They can't find jobs because the gap there in the history of employment. Of course, they were in prison,
mhm,
and the stigma of you being incarcerated
yes,
is like,
that's
boy, yeah, you're written off. It's like you're dead. It's like you don't have life again, and as well, because of the work you're doing with Jason, of the many productive lives of persons who are out of the system and making their contribution to Jamaica and the wider world. So, um, Courtney, you can say a
one,
lot about.
one, one of the work that is being done.
Mhm.
One of the work that is being done is that at least 6 months before inmates are being released, then a program is done to try to prepare them for what may happen on the outside when they are coming out and to prepare
Mm,
them mentally. Sometimes it's also a matter of trying to get in touch with family members who may not have even visited them or give or said anything to them since they were incarcerated. So they
right.
find it difficult even enough to relocate or even find a spot with family. Family seem to would have been deserted them. And so what tends to happen, so many men who comes out end up having to, or let me not say having, end up repeating crimes and end up repeating prison time. It's a sad case. They're trying to make a living. They're trying to survive. Yet when they come to the place where they believe they can either get support or be reintegrated, it's not happening, and they're at a loss as to what to do most often. And so finding a support group is what is mainly recommended, but there are a few. Magava is one of those groups. Um, my goodness, her name is is letting me know, Doctor John Simpson. I hope I'm back from Pastor Bruce Fletcher's daughter. This is
Mm.
her actual field of study, and we have worked with her, made some presentations. She's doing very well at helping when it comes on to reintegrating those who are being released to be reintegrated into society. But it's a tough task.
Certainly. No, it is. And kudos to Magava and the others. And this is why we're having this program. There are many families who, for whatever reason, some family members are fearful. They believe that
Mhm.
there's no transformation, and they may fear for their lives. And is there a way to get around that? Others just believe once you have done something, you will do it again. And the
Mhm.
scripture said, I was in prison, and you did not visit me. I was in
Yes.
prison, and you did not visit me. You didn't care for me. And the question is, I didn't know you were in prison, Jesus. And Jesus was saying,
Mhm.
anyone
Mhm.
is what you do to others that represent me, because you were supposed to be coming and visiting me and taking care of me as well. And I know, Courtney, we don't do a shout out yet, you know. We never say man there,
Oh my
and you know,
goodness.
that is our signature, right? So I think we better
Let's
do
let's
that.
let's let's do, let's do it, Kevin. After
Yeah.
three, and my apologies. One, two, three. Monday.
Monday! Yes, man,
You
they
know,
are. And
I want to give
certainly,
a shout out to Bishop Ron Edwards.
yes.
They're currently running the Mega Evangelistic Crusade in Portmore, the Edgewater Roundabout. They've been doing so since Sunday, and it has really been a time of refreshing, a time of salvation, a time of revival. I'm also the president of the Portmore Ministers Fraternal, and so it's in collaboration and association
Wow,
with the Jamaica Association
congratulations,
of Full Gospel Churches.
Courtney. You
Huh?
just said that so quickly. I didn't even know that. Congratulations that you took on the mantle. No, that's great. Yeah,
And so
sorry to interrupt
Bishop
there.
Davis and all these ministers are there. Last night was an excellent night. Guess who was the speaker? Michael Mirage. We've
Wow,
interviewed him here on the
wow.
mailbox, and he did
Yes,
a fantastic job, you
praise
know.
God.
So
Yeah.
it's a wonderful time at the Edgewater Roundabout every night until Friday night from
Mm.
6:30. And we now have joining us the real big man, Reverend Jason Downer. Good afternoon, sir. How are you doing?
Greetings to you, Sir Courtney. Sir Kevin Bailey.
Hey,
Big
stop.
up.
Hey,
Yeah,
greetings.
man.
Good to see you, man. I mean, you have been scarce, you know,
No,
since
man,
you've been in
I saw
lots
you
of
though.
promotion. Eh?
I saw you preaching at Christian Life Fellowship last night, and it was wonderful.
No, no,
So,
thank
so,
you.
so people, so people, I hope the listeners know that you're not just a psychologist, or a radio host, that you're a big shot preacher.
Oh
Yes,
God.
we
Thank you
give
for your kind words, you know. We
not,
just
yeah,
want to remind our listeners that we're speaking with Reverend Jason Downer, Associate Forensic Psychologist, and doing a lot of work with Magava. And I think we're just about up on our first break, Jason.
yeah,
So we're gonna take our
Yes,
first
we
break.
are.
We'll go to the studio, then we'll be right back. Courtney
no
and
problem.
Kevin with Jason Downer on the program The Mailbox. Right back in a moment.
I am a man, yes.
All right.
Strong man, integrity man. I am a man.
When you say phosphorus, you say electrical. SWA cables, conduits, transformers, and breakers. When you say phosphorus, you say lighting, chandeliers, and more. When you say phosphorus, you say LEDs and solar water heaters. Phosphorus is electrical, lighting, solar, and LEDs. Visit us today, Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. Phosphorus.
am so happy for back to school. But wow, getting back to a quiet house comes at a price, right? Flo knows how to easy work for back to school. With a $15,000 gift card to help take care of your back to school expenses and a free school bag. The books aren't going to carry themselves, right? Make back to school easier and sign up for Yard and Road. Get internet at home and mobile on the go for only $5,300 plus GCT. Flow Yard and Road makes every day better. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
The report is out.
What report?
The Constitutional Reform Committee's report of recommendations.
Recommendations on what?
On how we move from a monarchy to a republic, of course.
So what's in it?
The creation of the office of president and changes to our parliament. Yes, man. It also includes a new qualification for membership in parliament. I know you want to see that one.
Read the full report at roadtorepublic.mlca.gov.jm.
We are on the road to republic.
When you say phosphorus, you say electrical. SWA cables, conduits, transformers, and breakers. When you say phosphorus, you say lighting, chandeliers, and more. When you say phosphorus, you say LEDs and solar water heaters. Phosphorus is electrical, lighting, solar, and LEDs. Visit us today, Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. Phosphorus.
Receive words of strength from the Voice of Power with Bishop Dr. Delford Davis.
The battle of seed has been declared many years ago and is still raging. I will put enmity between thee and between the woman, thy seed and her seed. A war will be on perpetually until Jesus returns. But I know who has already won the war. I know who has already won the war.
That's the Voice of Power with Bishop Dr. Delford Davis, brought to you by the Power of Faith Ministries International in Portmore. Voice of Power comes to you every Thursday at 9:30 a.m. right here on the family station, Love 101.
I am a man, I am a man, I am a man, yes.
Welcome back to the program, The Mailbox. I'm Pastor Courtney Morrison. Sitting in also with me is my co-host, Kevin Bailey. We have a guest, the Reverend Jason Downer. We're talking about life after incarceration. Is it possible? What happens after someone has been incarcerated? Can they be released into society and indeed be able to be reintegrated and do well and successfully do so? Forensic psychologist, associate forensic psychologist Jason Downer is here with us to discuss the topic. But before we get into the meat of the matter, we just want to know a little bit about him personally. Jason, life growing up for you, what was it like?
Well, father was incarcerated up to the point of 12 plus. Mom was there, or especially earlier, but then I became a barrel child, and then some person might wonder who is a barrel child. Well, you know, when your mother or your parents migrate, and the means of support wasn't so much through remittance, really, but barrel. It's a lot of barrel and stuff. So so what was absent was a lot of presence, and that now, 40-year-old, I recognize that there are some things about me that is as a result of trauma. It's almost like overcompensating and stuff like that for me. And I feel like it's actually my wife pointed out, and so I'm dealing with that trauma due to absenteeism, not because of deliberate neglect or anything, circumstances, but it still impacted me. So that was my life, really. I think I had a pretty fun childhood. I'm grateful that I was raised in the era of what we have now in terms of technology, because then the socializing was very important. What we deem as games, outside, outdoors, and interacting was big. and I can draw the contrast because I see what my kids would prefer now for the most part in
Mhm.
terms of time spent and gadgets. The only thing for me, just like today, we talk about reintegration, life after incarceration. Really, today we had we're inside the prison, Tower Street, and one of the things we looked at, as we have the program Father Behind Bars, one of the things we looked at is what technology can offer now, authorized telephone calls versus back then I had nothing. Whether it is my father
We see it
incarcerated,
too. Yes.
you hear me?
Yeah, we're
We're
here
hearing you
now.
now. There was a
What
little
was, what
glitch,
was the
but you're
last?
back on.
What was the last thing you heard?
About the walkthrough in the
What you were
prison.
doing at what
Yeah, yeah.
technology
So I was
offers in
right.
terms of
So right. So I was saying on one hand, I'm happy I wasn't raised when there wasn't technology the way it is now. However, the flip side is my father being incarcerated and my mom being overseas. What technology would have done was be able to have phone calls in real time, video time. Then,
Mm.
see the person. It would have helped me because, as I said, no, I recognize some trauma as a result of those things. The advantage now is that we have a global village, so even though it's ideal for parents to stay literally home 24/7, 7 days a week, due to work commitment, they can travel but still be very present due to technology. So I was just throwing a contrast there. So my life was good, I believe, despite
okay.
challenging times, but it informed me in terms of the type of man that I have become. Manhood is a journey, so yeah.
No, thank you. You have said a lot, and we're very proud of you and your progress and your growth coming from adversities. As we know, adverse childhood experiences
Yeah.
um, can change our brain wiring and so many things to overcome there. But we're really proud of that. I want you to talk a little bit about prevention. What can we do to ensure that our boys and men stay out of prison?
Well, certainly we talk about the ideal, which is, structured family. I think what is we need to try to avoid this dysfunctionality that we're seeing plague in our family. And we mean in terms of that ideal, but we know because I've seen what has happened. So in order to raise a boy to become a man, a good, outstanding man in society, really there are some things that needs to be in place. Dr. Herbert Gill speak about some of them. So, for example, he needs to have a sense of security, you know, sense of support, accountability, provision needs to be in place. Modeling of, about term healthy masculinity. All right. Certain things must be in place in order for to give a youth a good chance because sometimes those things are in place, but for whatever reason, a youth just deviate from a certain path. But certainly, the village. You want a good village because the village also helps. When I youth reach a certain age, adolescence, because some people call it identity versus real confusion. The peers and what exists out there tend to influence. But then again, when you have that family, especially that father in that child's life, that boy's life, what you find out that father, you want to put as moral authority, and the fact that he has been present is able now to interact and intercept those negative messaging, whether it be visual or or literal things that come in. So that strong family structure, that father presence, that the provision of basic needs, accountability, very
Mhm.
important.
Wow.
Thanks, Jason Down. We're speaking to Reverend Jason Down now. Life after incarceration. Jason, we know there's a video that's being circulated with a young man really beating up on a smaller boy, a young boy. And we're talking about keeping our boys out of prison. What are some of the things that you believe need to, you spoke to the
Yeah.
dysfunctionality. What are some of those dysfunctions that may occur?
The first
You
one
told us
is,
about the good things that should exist,
yeah,
but
I
what are
mean,
some of the pitfalls we should avoid?
when I spoke and I shared on my experience, one of the things Kevin brought up was adverse childhood experiences, and that comes in many forms. Sometimes it's trauma. We find that a lot of our kids are experiencing trauma now. It could be because one parent left the home. It could be as a result of neglect that not that one parent is present, but neglect in the form that neglect that comes out in the form of rejection too. Um, what we see happening in our wider society, we have our kids who are cons- you know consistently being traumatized based on the news they hear. Bullying, so it's very wide and varied. You speak about the video that we saw. I mean, there's so many things that go off in my head. Obviously, we saw a little boy who was,
Oh,
you know,
yes.
he was clearly distraught, and distraught is an understatement, to the point where he was hyperventilating. But then we can see the
Yes,
victim,
he
quote
was.
unquote. And one of the things I said to persons, it's important to understand that there are many things to consider in that context. We don't really know what was taking place. So we know that what was happening wasn't good. But my mind quickly went to the quote unquote perpetrator. And what would have caused a young man to be reacting or behave not reacting, behaving the way he was being towards this other youngster. If
So
you notice
violently, yes.
If you notice how he responded even to the young lady, the little girl who said, leave him alone. His response towards her. If you notice how he attacked, the attack wasn't a cowardly, it was intentional. All those things are things to take into account. And then you can look at, if some people would have said crony, but they are the assailants. There are other persons there. So it's you automatically almost see something like a gang, and you see something wider reflection of what is happening in society. Now, for me, as a forensic psychologist,
Mhm.
it's one thing to deal with the victim, and we should respond accordingly.
Perpetrator.
But we need to get this youth here, because what we see based on the trajectory is not
Yep.
good.
Right.
Certainly not good. Yeah.
Ah,
That's a big thing, and the follow up
and I
follow up of
appreciate.
course.
Yeah, man.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes,
here's the thing
yes,
now.
Jason.
You see,
Yeah.
the thing is, I was sharing with somebody today. I said the same incident. I said naturally the guidance counseling department will come to the rescue in this. It's a national thing. So you hear the police, so they go investigate. But it's also going to be a 9-day wonder. This little boy was traumatized and was on the receiving end of this. He might get some form of quote unquote counseling. But more than likely, the persons who are counseling him aren't fully equipped to deal with the level of trauma that we see unfolded there. Also, the quote unquote perpetrator and the little girls and others in that environment. So it's not just the persons involved, but those who were there also. The person holding the phone. If you listen to the video as well, big up to O'Neill Campbell, you will also hear
Think we have lost
We seem to
Reverend
have
Jason
lost you there a
Tony.
bit. We're
Yeah.
talking to Reverend Jason Dono. It's now a minute to 6 in the evening at Love
ah,
101. What we're gonna do? We're gonna go
I
for this
chipped out.
break. We're going to come.
Yeah.
Jason, we weren't hearing you, so we're going to go for a break, see if some technical difficulties we can address them, and we come right back after this break. Rev, I'm hoping you're hearing us. We're not hearing you. So we take a
I'm
break,
hearing now.
come
I
right
just switched
back
out.
to the mailbox, and Pastor
Baby,
Cornelius
we
along with
know how
Kevin Daly.
important it is to keep
We'll come
you
back.
dry and comfortable. At Huggies, we've made it our mission to have the perfect diaper to give you a soft and gentle experience. And even better, a one-up 100% leak-proof protection, even from blowouts. Whether it's playtime, nap time, or bedtime, Huggies keeps you happy. So you can focus on making memories, not messes. Huggies, we got you, baby.
Sometimes all we need is a listening ear. The listening ear, the counseling, the logical reasoning, and spiritual guidance are what appeal to us. That's why I'm here. I'm Dr. Joan Pinkney, the counselor, your counselor on Love 101 FM, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 p.m. You know you can call on me. I will listen and more. So let's talk about what's bothering you. Anything. Tune in, listen, call in, text or voice message. I'm Dr. Joan Pinkney, counseling psychologist, ready with a listening ear. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 p.m. Right here on the family station, Love 101 FM.
Oxymaster make everything cleaner.
The time by Oxymaster the Stain Blaster is
6:01 p.m.
Right here on Love 101 FM. Welcome back to the program. This is the Mailbox, aired every Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. on your favorite station, Love 101 FM. Courtney, Kevin in the place, and our very special guest, Reverend Jason Downer, Associate Forensic Psychologist, and running lots of stuff, wearing different hats with Mogava and the Unangered program. Jason, I know our time can fly, so we want you to share from your experience. What can families, churches, and other institutions do to assist men who have been released from prison based on the challenges that they have? Can they be fully integrated in society? Talk to us, Jason.
Man, yes, they can. The problem is there are things being done within the prison system, programs. I must say, there still needs to be a lot more done, particularly when it comes on to the psychological aspect of things. Many inmates are released, whether parole or they have paid their debts to society, released and have not yet processed the whole incarceration thing. And so when they come out, despite their best efforts, the triggers that cause them to go there in the first place are there. And so certainly one of the things I will say is there needs to be more support group to offer that, the psychological aspect of things. I know an inmate who was released because of spending 15 years because of rape. And he reached out to me. Rev Morrison know the person as well. We did not come to mind right now. The person reached out to me. And he reached out to me because his mind was all over the place and he believed he would reoffend with the same offense, which is rape. Because when he went in, while the body wasn't engaging in sexual acts, the mind was very much engaged, with the phone, etc., etc. So when he came out, the body responded on the mind. And so he knew he would just turn the vehicle right in the road when he saw something that appealed to him. And so we had to immediately do some sessions. Now, you can't take up the phone and find a place that offers that. That's one. The second thing is, many of these inmates themselves, they do not, it's hard to find work. On one hand, you understand why, an employer might, be hesitant to employ. However, the truth is, these men, many of whom turn to criminality because of not being able to provide for their family or provide enough for their family. And so there needs to be a way for them to earn. Some went to prison without a skill, they come out and they have a skill, but they can't get a job. And that needs to begin with the government. So on one hand, the government can't say, boy, give the people a chance. But at the same time, in our law books, you can't really hire anybody with a criminal record. And the person has quote unquote been reformed. You understand? So as it relates to family members too, family members need to be a part of the process. It is not good enough to automatically be present when the person is released from prison. You need to be a part of the process prior to and upon release, because family plays a major part in terms of how well they are reintegrated into society. And that is big. I don't know if I touched the whole thing on support group. And support group is important. A part of the whole psychological aspect of things, but it doesn't necessarily have to be therapy, even though some talk therapy is naturally a part, because once you have the support group, people will be talking. That helps, and it also gives some amount of accountability to these persons. Someone they can call on if they know that they're on the verge of reoffending, or just when they're feeling lonely. That helps. But I find that I don't know. You find more women to get more support than men, to be honest. You find a woman who put up a woman once she's released and try to support her. Part of that too is that a lot of the women did not commit heinous crimes. You know what I mean? Men, on the other hand, a lot of the men have committed some serious crimes. And so people think twice, thrice before they lend a helping hand. But it's important that we do so because at the end of the day, it might come around to hurt us as a nation.
Agreed.
You gentlemen there?
Pastor Reverend Jason, we also want to give thanks. We also need to give thanks to Pastor Donnie McClurkin, who year after year also comes and help in giving support. There's also it's Dr. Joe Simpson. I'm trying to remember her full name. Bruce Fletcher, Pastor Bruce
Dr. Joanna
Fletcher's
Simpson, yeah
daughter,
man.
who does
Dr. Joanna Simpson.
some she does extremely great work when it comes on to recidivism. You have to pronounce that word from the Jason. I bite my tongue trying to pronounce the word. But indeed, the work that needs to be done in terms of reintegration, it's quite a lot. As Jason said, families, you need to be involved prior to. We know it's difficult, and especially in, and so I present this to you now, Jason. Is the church doing enough? Should the church be one of those groups that offer jobs and see how best they can counsel and help in the reintegration process? Or is the church one of those who secondly tries the going on and
Oh,
on? We talk about forgiveness. Is it a reality when these issues present themselves?
are you hearing me clearly?
Reverend,
Right. I was for station
we are
around. Great.
hearing you now. Yes.
So I must say this: the church is doing a lot generally. When it comes down to social involvement, when it comes down to just the overall well-being of the nation. But the church can do more. I can tell you when it comes down to an opportunity to come inside the prison to minister. Oh Lord, man, we are good at preaching up a storm, but we are not so good in terms of offering other, what should I say, practical things. I can also tell you the very same churches that do a good job in sending persons to preach and have services. They are absent post release. And so the church need to do better in terms of when people are released. People need, Courtney would remember when we went in 2014 with the program Fathering Behind Bars. One of the inmates stopped us and he said, "I know you're going to preach about Jesus, you know." He said, "We get preaching Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday." He said, "We want something more. So bring something more to the table. We're not short of fearing that Jesus said. We are short of quote unquote practical support." And so I can tell you without a doubt that um, churches need to put their resources more together. One is where, we can use the term halfway houses. We can talk about jobs, Christian owned businesses. These are practical ways of showing God's forgiveness, practical ways of giving second chance. And I must tell you, a lot of these men who are incarcerated still have families intact. You understand? And when they come out, they want to know, if you want to say proof that, listen, I'm changed and I want to provide. The first thing they're looking for is an opportunity to earn or to provide for their families. The Department of Correctional Services have a little granting where they might assist them with a little start. So, for example, if they want a little weed whacking thing or anything like that. But it's not every inmate who is coming out want to be a gardener, a handyman. Some of these men have some serious trade. Some heart goes in and certified persons. Some of them are tailors, etc. So if you can't give them a job, give them a start. Give them enough of a start. And
Some
I
of them
think
are accountants.
accountant, yeah, man. So people need to understand when you think of incarcerated men, don't just think of people who have no form of formal education. Don't think that way only. Don't think that they're only persons who have committed heinous crime. There are innocent men in there too, Yeah, man. There are men in there who who the truth is never really wrong place, wrong time. Stuff like that. So we can't just broad brush everybody. Certainly, you treat each case based on its own merit, but not enough is being done. I want to big up, Best Dress Jamaica Broilers Group, for really supporting the Fathering Behind Bars program and buying into the vision of what it is that we're trying to do. But this is internally. These men will be released. And as you talk about that, you're talking about the family of these men. You talk about the children who are the hidden victims. All right, if we're not going to do anything for these men, how about their children? If we should check the data, what these kids are going through, are we deliberate in trying to offer support to them? So these are just some practical ways. Let's certainly go to the table and let's talk about it and put some things in place.
Thank you, Reverend Jason Donor. Listeners, we're having this conversation with so many things you're highlighting. You spoke earlier on about the role of the government, and government is one of the largest employer of persons in the island, and they too have resources, and that's where we pay our taxes as well. And so if they really want to help too, they need to be able to focus on helping more and find the resources. Then you're talking about the church as well. I wanted to ask you, Jason, is fear a factor why families and church will not participate in this rehabilitation program in helping to reintegrate our men? Is there a fear factor, and how do you overcome that? Because I'm just wondering, why is it? What is the apprehension? Is there the fear factor that is an obstacle for reintegration there?
That's a very good question. I think for some families, it's fear. I don't think so much with families fear, yes, but I don't think so much fear like it is disappointment and not passing that point of being disappointed, right? Just being disappointed and just unforgiveness as well, because there would have been signs that, especially if somebody's coming off a long sentence, there would have been enough signs, because you have case managers, social workers, their rehabilitation manager, the family to have been interacting with. Again, the importance of being involved pre-release, right? So that you're informed. I mean, you will have fear if the person is just released and you don't know what. When my father was just released, this man just hugging me and kissing me. I don't know. I have a range of mixed emotion. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to believe, etc. So I understand that, but then you can manage that if the process started from before. As it relates to church, I just think it's a culture, to be honest. I don't think how many gunmen, if we want to think of extreme cases of persons who have done time or broken the law. I mean, gunmen are in the pulpit. Former men, let me not say gunmen, men who have committed murder are now preachers, and we embrace them. We have embraced prostitutes, we have embraced homosexuals, we have persons who have had those lifestyles. So these men have been through a system, right? I don't think it's so much fear more than it's just not a part of our culture. As a church, it's more a sense of come church, lift your hand, say the sinner's prayer. We follow up with you 1 and 2 times because we want to see a church, and then we move on. I think that culture needs to change. People, I think that is the issue. The culture of how we do ministry and see ministry.
Again, we seem to be having a little technical difficulties here. We're speaking with Reverend Jason Donor. We're talking about life after incarceration. Is society open enough to have them reintegrated into society? We're up on our final break. It's 16 minutes past the hour 6. We're going to come right back. I'm Courtney Morrison along with Kevin Bailey, our guest, Reverend Jason Donor. Program The Mailbox. Soon come back.
Me? Busy as usual, so I don't have no time for whole heap of paperwork. That's why I downloaded and signed up for my One JN Passport app. It's a whole new level of convenience and access to services within the JN Financial Group. Just a few taps on my smartphone and maps. I can update my personal information, open a JN Bank savings account, and even apply for an unsecured loan. Get it all in one go. Download and sign up now. The One JN Passport app. JN will help you find a way.
When you say phosphorus, you say electrical. SWA cables, conduits, transformers, and breakers. When you say phosphorus, you say lighting, chandeliers, and more. When you say phosphorus, you say LEDs and solar water heaters. Phosphorus is electrical, lighting, solar, and LEDs. Visit us today, Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. Phosphorus.
Welcome back to the program, The Mailbox. I'm Courtney Morrison along with Kevin Bailey. We have our guest with us and down. It's been an informative, interesting time together here. We're talking about life after incarceration. I'm trying to get Jason to pronounce that word, recidivism, as to what is that we do when we try to reintegrate those who have been incarcerated into society. We want the support groups, we want the families to be involved so that the stigmas can be broken from some of these men. It's a tough time. And if we believe in forgiveness, yeah, that plays a serious part in a major part in the work that needs to be done.
Sure.
Reverend Jason, may you continue where you left off? You were
Yeah, man.
talking about
I think the scripture speaks to being in prison and you visited me, sick. Just the less fortunate, the forgotten. And I think, on to the point I was making, I think it's more a cultural thing than fear, because we embrace people who have had a rough past. More so when they come to us. How about we going to them? So before
So I think we lost Jason.
true have a,
Yeah. You're back, Jason.
you hear me now?
Yes.
What's the last thing you heard?
Okay, you're talking about the culture of church.
Yeah, man. I'm saying
Yeah.
I think it's more the culture. And I'm sorry to the listeners who keep breaking up. You just when you're commuting, this is the issue. But yeah, man. I believe it's a matter of forgiveness. One. But in terms of the church, culturally, I think the church needs to look at the way they do evangelism. We embrace people who have had a rough life, but normally those people come to us. I think we need to go. When the scripture speaks about I was in prison and you visit me, it's going. And so I'm saying the Department of Correctional Services is very willing. Are you hearing me clearly?
Sure.
The Department of Correctional Services is very willing to facilitate conversations and to move further than conversation and to have implementation of things. We have trained people within the kingdom, to deal with this thing. Courtney spoke of Dr. Joanna Simpson. 2 days ago, we were on a Zoom call speaking to the Department of Correctional Services, if that's how they name themselves, but the same prison system there in Trinidad where she was presenting. So people, so the church, I think the church just need to engage and say, what can we do to help? Certainly in terms of reintegration, but we are looking on it also in terms of winning souls for the kingdom. And it's not hard. It's not that hard. Believe you me, it's not that hard. But we just need persons to be willing, leaders, gatekeepers of the umbrella group churches, gatekeepers of the different norms. I'm saying to you, engage us. This thing can happen, and we have people who are willing to work. Train people, not just an emotional response now, but train and skilled people to help people. And we need to, because it can ripple in effect if we don't.
Jason, persons who are listening, how can they contact either you or persons that...
Jason, who is allowed to visit these...
Yes, Courtney. I just asking
As just
Jason.
asking Reverend Jason Downer, who is allowed to visit these incarcerated men?
You know, and pretty
How does it
much,
work?
I don't know. Yeah, man, anybody can visit. I mean, once you come and, well, certainly if we're going to bring in programs, there is a form that has to be filled out and you have to, the necessary checks has to be done. Are you hearing me? Let me double check in. You hear me?
Sure, sure.
Right. The necessary checks has to be done. But in terms of regular visits, anybody can. In fact, too, you hear me?
We're hearing you now, Jason.
Wow. In fact, they have family days. So, you know, and a family very emotional still, I must tell you. It's rough when you go
Mm.
to a family day and see because you know, from a baby who just born right up, you know, persons are there and they get to see, you know, their loved ones. So that happens. So you can visit. Unfortunately, when I was younger, I was told I couldn't visit, you know, which really is not a good thing and it affected me. But we get past that now. So anybody can visit. Anybody can visit, you know, and information is there if you need information.
Persons who want to contact you, Jason Mogava, they want to know more about it. They want to have a support with the financial resources. They're listening now. How can they make contact?
Certainly send an email to, you can certainly reach out to any of you guys. You can reach out to Love 101, of course, and Love 101 notify me. I mean that's hard to find. And I'm social media we're there. And of course you can send me an email, Jason Downer, that's Jayson, Jason Downer 36 at gmail.com. And of course, you can reach out to Sir Courtney Morrison, who is the chairman of the organization. Yeah, man, we're not hard to find. Trust me, gonna find me. So yes,
Thank you, Jason. Just before
I'm
you go,
harder to find than Jason. I'm
uh,
smaller.
you can go on,
I
Courtney.
won't answer, you know.
So Jason is easier to find. He's
Don't 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 bother answer him, Jason.
I don't, man. I don't want that at all.
Tell me something, Jason. Men who are listening, and these are men, they might be overwhelmed by the pressures of society. They are not having the support of family. Some of the things, whether it was deliberate or unintentional, some of the things you experience, how can they find their center so that they don't get into the system? What advice, what
Wow,
encouragement would you give to
wow.
them?
I would say this. First thing I will say, man, it's okay to cry. It is okay to find an outlet of a way to release, and crying is a healthy way of it. So it is okay. And I'll tell you, say, find the nearest church first, or this or that. I'm going to say to you, cry, let it out, right? Let it out. Don't bottle it up. The next thing I'm going to say to you is the fact that you're listening to me. I believe you have access to a phone, and I'm saying you can simply Google the Bureau of Gender Affairs. There are a list of places there, inclusive of Mogava, where you can punch in the numbers, and there are person ready to listen to you, right? But I want to also say this as a form of comfort. What you're going through is not unique to you. And there are persons, I also believe persons right now to myself, Sir Kevin, you know, Sir Courtney, all of us have been through things. And the truth is, if you keep it to yourself, you won't know. But there are persons who you can talk to who can empathize with you and help to guide you beyond the point that you are now. But the first thing I want to say, find a healthy way to release it. It is okay to cry. If you don't want to cry around people, find a room and bawl, holla, let it out from your gut. It is quite fine. It is quite fine. And then when you release that, because after releasing, it can come back, that feeling can come back again. I am saying when you release that, find help. Find the help that you need. And again, Google Bureau of Gender Affairs, and you see a list of numbers come up, and help is there.
And that's the important part. We want persons to know there is help. Your situation is not unique. We know it may be difficult, but there is help. You can reach out to someone. Never feel that you are just this unknown soldier trotting along by yourself. There's a church. There are persons around. As Jason referred to the Bureau of Gender Affairs, they now have a male desk. No, they
Male
have a male.
empowerment unit.
What's it called now? More than a desk. They have
It's a male
helplines for men now.
empowerment unit led by Director Mr. Nashon Miller, and they have empowerment officers there. So, yeah, man, and they have a call hotline too and stuff. So that is there. And of course, you mentioned the church. The church is always there, always there. But people there, man. People there pay, man. So man there.
Man there for help. Jason, thank you very much for helping us out with this one. Life after incarceration. We have come to the end of our program. And so we want to say thanks to Dr. Nadine Blair, our operations program manager, and Jermaine Johnson, our producer. Jermaine doing a fantastic job. Our technical support, Timoy. I haven't seen you in a while, boss. I hope all is well. And especially to you, Jason, who is an associate forensic psychologist, president of Magava, and lead for the Unangered program. Thank you for sparing the time and being with us today. We tremendously appreciate it, bro.
Yep.
Big
So
up,
we
man.
end the show with this quote.
Dr. Nadine Blair, big up yourself. Much love.
End the show with this quote. Look for something positive in each day, even if you have to look a little harder some days. Look for something positive in each day, even if you have to look a little harder some days.
This was the program, the show. Yes, designed for men with guests who are men. The mailbox was brought to you today by Solid PVC Pipes, manufactured in Jamaica by Fosrich Company Limited.
Indeed, and we say thanks to them for doing so. So we say catch you next week, Wednesday, September 25, 2024. Same place, same time. We will have John Mark Wigan with us on that program. So it promises to be an excellent time here. This is the mailbox. Next week, Monday.
Yeah.
Man, yes. Strong man.